Welcome to Contemplative Living, where we view contemplations for the week to have a better understanding of our spiritual paths. This is Contemplative Living with Dave Bennett.
Hello, and welcome to another Contemplative Living, where we talk about concepts to bring contemplative living into everyday life. Well, I took a little bit of time off for the holidays, but if you're interested in my daily contemplations, you can always find them on my Instagram. And let me show you the link there. Okay. You can always find me on Instagram for my daily reflections, also on Facebook. But and please feel free, if you're watching live, to give a shout out. If you're not, if you're on the replay, make sure and comment. On YouTube, the same thing. We invite you to subscribe and comment. So to get started today, Confucius once said, "Learning without reflection is a waste, and reflection without learning is dangerous." So as we start out, periodically, it's really good for us to spend some time in reflection and reflect where we've been, who we are right now. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is we're going to talk about that type of reflection, that inner reflection or contemplation. After all, this is contemplative living. So let's get started. Explore renewal through self-healing in three key aspects of life: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Now, folks that come to me for healing and energetic work and coaching, these are the things that I talk about. Is we need to be aware of where we are, who we are, physically, mental, emotionally, and spiritually. To be a whole and complete human, we really need to be aware of all of these facets, because these facets enrich our lives once we know how to tap into them fully. And so reflecting on where we've come from so that we understand who we are in the present is a way of exploring ourselves and getting in touch with ourselves and creating self-healing. These are important aspects in everyday living. And so we really, really want to embrace this concept of reflection and renewal through inward journey and reflection of where we were so that we know who we are in this moment. So, who are you? Who are you? Don't delay finding out who you really are. To put it off is just putting off your own harmony, is putting off your own peace and contentment. We have to come to understand who we are. And no one can really tell you who they are because that's their perception. What you need to know is who you really are through your inner reflection. What are your hopes, your desires? Think of it again. We're talking about mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. So who are you? Who's the whole being that resides? Hey, Mary Beth, Happy New Year. I'm glad you're on this morning. We're talking about reflection. And at the beginning of the year, isn't that the great thing to do? But where do we start? We start by understanding who we are and looking inward. When we look inward, we want to embrace all of ourselves and who we really are. So to do that, we need to look at, especially right now, look at this past year. What have we accomplished? What have we gained? Where have we strived forward? Those are clues. Those are the key. Those are the keyhole to show us the way. One time I remember the saying, quit staring at the keyhole and become the key and unlock your own presence. Because a lot of the time we're staring backward or we're dreaming forward, but we really need to be the key and unlock the present, because that's where we really find out who we really are. So we focus on the physical. We look at ourselves physically without judgment. I need to lose a little weight. Well, that's okay. I'm going to work on that. That's fine. But understand, this is physically who I am. I've had some health issues. I'm working on it. And then mental, emotional. I'm feeling a little depressed. This was a tough year. That's okay. I can work on it. I can look for joy in my life. Emotional. Oh gosh, I just feel so depressed. All right, that's okay. I can work on it. I can find things that uplift me. I can listen to some amazing music or something that raises my spirits up. Spiritually, well, I really didn't pay as much attention on my spiritual path as I would like to. Hey, that's okay. I can work on that. I can move toward more stillness and looking inward. So looking at ourselves in that way, we can really come to understand who we really are, because we touch everyone we ever interact with. And it's really good for us to get to that source, that core of our inner being. Hello, Helen. Happy New Year. I'm glad you joined us. Okay, so when we express who we are, our being swirls gently into the world, exposing our abilities and our artistry. We have within us this creative source, this creative being. And do we really express it? Do we allow it out into the world so that everyone can see that glorious person that we really are within? And it doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be poetry. It doesn't have to be praise or anything like that. A lot of times our abilities are in so many different facets. And again, we're looking at who we are, our whole being. So express ourselves, express who we are totally and honestly, without the veils. We don't need to wrap ourselves in those veils that, we want people to perceive us in a certain way, even though we don't believe we are that way. What we want to do is we want to let go of those veils and just shine our light, who we really are, so that people can see us honestly and truly. And I guarantee that they're going to respect that, because they may not understand, but they will feel it, because we're all interconnected energetically. And so when we're open and honest and true to ourselves, and we're expressing that, they feel those gentle swirls of our energy, and they gently understand that this is who we really are. It's incredibly powerful. I know I do a lot of speaking engagements, and when I learned this key aspect of being true to myself and living within that truth and that honesty and expressing it in everything that I do, that suddenly people were able to hear me on a much deeper level and understand what it is that I'm trying to say. Use imagination as your map, giving a road that leads to you. If you have trouble with visualization, if you have trouble with those types of concepts, use your imagination. Your imagination is an incredibly powerful tool in unlocking who we really are. It allows us a freedom. It allows our light to shine when we use our imagination. When I was first learning how to meditate, Native American grandmothers kind of took me in and they showed me how to go to my sacred space. And I sat in stillness on this plateau that I claimed as my sacred space. I sat there in this physical location trying to go to my sacred space. It took a long time because I didn't understand. And then one of the grandmothers says, start with your imagination. So the next time I went up on the plateau, I closed my eyes and I used my imagination to envision a sacred space. And from there, my mind stepped aside and the light of my being started to shine through and create this sacred space that was within me. And it allowed me to step aside from my mental musings and become this journey and find this road that led me to myself. And so I invite you to use your imagination to find that path, to find your key and unlock your door. Okay. Your true nature is wise and loving. No one in creation can be who you are. When we finally put that key in that keyhole and twist it and unlock our doors, we get to see how wonderful and wise and how loving our true nature really is. We don't need to buy into the illusion of separateness. We don't need that. We are connected to the divine. It is a part of us. We are a part of it. And we have this swirling essence within us that allows us to tap into that. And so when we connect to our true nature, we feel this sense of expansion, this sense of expansion that is who we really are. It's the totality of our light that resides within us. And we are each unique individuals, but we have that interconnectedness. So no one in creation can be who we are, but we are all connected to that unity, that oneness. And that's what makes life and living this life right now so exciting, because we can see that we are a part of what's going on. We help co-create the reality that we live in. And if we choose to connect with our true being, who we really are, and if we choose to bring that forth into our daily life, then we get to see how it affects the world around us. When we bring positivity and harmony into our life, positivity and harmony is what the universe is going to provide for us. May we create more time each day to be with ourselves, with a touch of the divine, a state of grace. I can't stress this enough, how we really, really, really need to create the time. My practice is in the morning. I love my morning meditation. Hey, Janet, I'm glad you're here. Happy New Year. I'm glad you joined us. May we create more time each day to be with ourselves. I believe that's key. It totally turned my life around. When I started a daily practice, before I would meditate here and there, and I would try to, I'd do it for a little while, and I'd give it up, and that's normal. We're all human, and I didn't beat myself up over it. But what I did find was that when I finally created the discipline to have a daily practice, at first it required discipline. At first it took that concerted effort to get up extra. Maybe especially if I was going to have a busy day, I needed to get up a little early just so that I would have that time, that space. And I started out simply with just 20 minutes. My practice now is more like an hour, but that's because I have my time of stillness and then of gratitude, and I use that to create this contemplative space where I can communicate with spirit and my higher consciousness and allow that. Then I like to write and journal those things. And I share those. That's what my daily contemplations and that I put out on Instagram and Facebook are all about, is what I've perceived within my morning contemplations. And so when we create more time in our lives, we touch that divine within us, and we're able to bring that forth in our day. And I find now that if something happens that I'm rushed into my day without time for stillness, without time for a practice, it feels like the whole day is wrong. It just doesn't flow like it's supposed to. So I look forward to it. And I get so much out of it. It helps me to be clear in my decision making. It helps me to be more productive in my projects. And so it's so beneficial for us to actually reach that point where we find time in our day. We find that time. And finally, the most direct way to connect, the most direct way to contact our inner treasure is when awareness is silent and awake. Silent doesn't mean asleep. Silent is awake. It's an expanded awareness. That's what true stillness is when we can find that sense of quiet that expands beyond who we are. Then we can see that we are the shining light that's swirling around and connected with all the other lights and to that greater light of unity and oneness. That is the inner treasure. Some people call it the hidden treasure. Well, it doesn't need to be hidden because it's a part of us. It's a part of who we are. So to kind of recap, if we reflect back on this past year, and if we bring what we learn from that year into the present moment, then we're working on ourselves. We're connecting to ourselves. And if we dedicate ourselves to a practice that is beneficial to us and our family and our circles and our community, whenever we work on ourselves and we bring that essence of harmony and peace within us, we exemplify that in our daily workings. And that's how we make change. That's how we affect change in our life and in our community and within our family, everywhere. It's so far reaching, it just cannot be expressed. So I invite you to find that time, find that inner peace within you. And I hope you can bring it into your day and allow it to expand and become a part of your daily practice. Hello, Aurora. Thank you for joining us. And thank everyone who's watching. Again, if you are watching through the podcast on YouTube or the replay, feel free to comment. I love to communicate. So I hope you have a blessed week ahead. Namaste.